It's been months since Jessica and I went overlanding. It seems like time is more scarce, family obligations keep piling up, and the weight of the world keeps dragging us down. We've been feeling the call to get out and see the world, but life has just been in the way. But unexpectedly, the opportunity for a last-minute overland trip presented itself. There are still a few sections of the South Carolina adventure route, otherwise known as the SCAR, that I've been dying to check off my list. So we quickly tossed our gear into the Jeep, loaded up our tiny camper trailer, and hit the road. We had no idea what was in store for us, from insane views, epic waterfalls, venomous snakes, creepy campsites, and gnarly trails. This weekend would end up being packed full of adventure. I'm Matt Brodie with Simply Must Go, and this is part 6 of our Overlanding South Carolina on the SCAR series. We picked up the SCAR a little south of Hendersonville, North Carolina, and headed southwest toward Caesar's Head, Lake Jocassee, and eventually a national forest. The first part of the trip was mostly paved scenic mountain road, with the occasional section of gravel forestry road thrown in for funsies. Because of the constant on-again, off-again nature of paved to gravel roads and back to paved roads, we never aired down. So at times the gravel roads were a little bumpy, but we didn't let it faze us. This section of the SCAR was really pretty and a fun drive. If you ever want to steal your neighbor's Miata and take it for a joyride, this area is probably ideal. Since the driving was fairly easy, we could focus on the landscape around us, and it gave us a little chance to act like rock stars and belt out some of our favorite tunes together. I'm really big into Johnny Cash at the moment.
And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
It wasn't long before we hit Caesar's Head State Park. Caesar's Head is a must-see experience that offers spectacular views that extend into North Carolina and Georgia. So one of the cool things about this section of the trail is that it takes you across some pretty awesome spots like Caesar's Head. So this is Caesar's Head State Park. We were passing it. We decided to pull in real quick, check it out, look at the views. I've been here a couple times, but I don't think Jessica's ever been here. So
I have.
There's a lot of hiking that you can do around this area, a lot of good overlooks and things like that. So we're just gonna kind of roam around here for a minute, check this out, and then get back on the road. All right, check out these views. All right, so fun fact, the very first time Jessica and I went overlanding, camping, whatever you want to call it, was actually right down there somewhere near where Asbury Hills Camps and Retreat Center is. So somewhere right down there. And if you're wondering why I'm not flying the drone, it's because this is a no drone zone. So that's a no-no. So no flying drones here. Don't do it. After playing tourist, we continued along the SCAR, mostly over Highway 11. However, a few points veered off onto gravel. Again, this section wasn't anything exciting from an off-road standpoint, but it was very pretty. Eventually, we'd head north to the beginning of Horse Pasture Road, Lake Jocassee, and our first setback. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting that, though I probably should have. I was just thinking the trail was going to lead to the normal part of Lake Jocassee that I've gone into before. Didn't really pay enough attention to the map that it was leading us in one of the back ways, and those are closed right now. So if you are coming to Lake Jocassee and you're going to do this trail, make sure you know which roads are closed. I know all the way down into the lake is closed at this time. I just didn't realize this gate was going to be closed. So double check that before you come. Don't make my mistake. Horse Pasture Road is a popular site for Jeep clubs in the area. During certain times of the year, additional sections are open that include roads that lead all the way down to the lake and a water crossing. The gravel road isn't overly challenging, but it is fun, and it does lead to a huge payoff in the way of jumping off rock, a beautiful rock ledge overlooking Lake Jocassee. All right, we made it to jumping off rock. It's just a short little hike from the parking area of it up to the top with some amazing views. I mean, check these views out. Views are spectacular. You love it?
Love it.
She loves it. All right, but we've got a lot of miles to still put on before we find a campsite tonight, so we're gonna take this in for another second, and then we're gonna hit the road and go find us a campsite. Maybe some other really nice views along the way, we'll see. Horse Pasture Road is a dead-end road, so we didn't expect the drive back to be anything different, but we did come across a hazard that we definitely weren't expecting. Alright, you can see it right there. That is a rattlesnake, and I have never seen a live rattlesnake in the wild before. So that's really cool, also kind of terrifying. Alright buddy, get off the road or you're gonna get run over. After leaving Lake Jocassee, we continued west along the Scar and into the Sumter National Forest. Despite the track's name being the South Carolina Adventure Route, sections of it do cross over into Georgia and North Carolina. It was starting to get late, and so we opted for what we thought was going to be a safe bet and headed to a familiar campsite that we'd found on our previous trip here. This site was close to where we'd want to start exploring the next morning, and would let us get to camp and set up before it got too dark. But we got a nasty surprise when we arrived. Unfortunately, some jerks have come here and defaced this campsite with a bunch of graffiti, and unfortunately, it just doesn't make Jessica feel very comfortable to be camping in a place surrounded with numbers like 666 and hell and all this other bad stuff. So unfortunately, our favorite camp spot that we were going to stay at tonight, we were all excited about, I think we're going to leave. She just doesn't want to be here. So we're gonna go find another spot. It's getting kind of late, so if you're the jerk that defaced this awesome campsite, you suck. You're a terrible human being. Feeling really disappointed and frankly angry at whoever felt the need to desecrate such a beautiful site, we moved to another site close by. Later, we would talk to a ranger who would tell us that because of the vandalism and the worsening trail condition, which is in fact one of the reasons we loved it, the site would likely be closed in the near future. Alright, we got to a campsite that isn't littered with terrible graffiti. If this site happens to look familiar, it should. This is actually the site that my brother Beav and I stayed on our first trip on the Scar, so this was our second night's campsite. Anyway, so I had this in our back pocket for this area. Tomorrow, we're going to explore a whole new section of the Scar. So tomorrow is all about new exploration, but because it took us a while to get up here, and then we did Lake Jocassee, and then we got to this section, we just felt like it was safer, more fun to go ahead and get a camp spot that we knew that we could set up at, that we didn't have to really search for. That way we could set up in the light without having to worry about finding a campsite and setting up in the dark. So this was sort of the opportune place and time to be, and then tomorrow is an unknown. Camp is pretty much set up. Everything is as it should be. Good morning. It was a decent night. It was a little bit harder than we thought. Our air mattress that we just bought apparently already has a hole in it, and it deflated in like 5 minutes from when we blew it up. So that was a bust. Ended up kind of using it as a little pad and then the sleeping bag, and so a little hard in terms of the sleep, but the weather was beautiful. It was perfect weather. It was like 63 or something like that last night. It's a nice cool morning, so it wasn't hot. It was very comfortable, so we slept decently, even though we didn't have the air mattress to sleep on. But we're gonna get a pretty quick start this morning. Breakfast is gonna be no frills, just some cereal, and then we're gonna get packed up and we're gonna get on the road to explore a whole new section of the Scar.
The next morning, we set out to explore this new, to us, section of the Scar. We were excited about this little loop that would take us from South Carolina into North Carolina and Georgia. The thing to remember about the Scar is that it was designed with dual sport riders in mind, meaning much of the main section of this route is going to be back roads and gravel or forestry roads that continue from one section to the next to create a loop around South Carolina. Rarely will you find a Jeep-worthy trail on the Scar itself. It's the side roads and trails along the way that provide most of the real off-roading adventure. Today is going to be no exception. Some, in fact, we'd find would even be too much for us.
So this first little side trail that we've hit is really fun. It's not overly complicated and technical, still just in two-wheel drive. Lots of little fun articulated spots, and it's kind of a tight trail, so I'm hoping there's a spot that we can turn around with the trailer. But it's very fun. I have no idea what's at the end of this, other than it looks like on Gaia there might be a little walking trail towards a waterfall. But this is definitely a cool little trail, and if there's a campsite at the end of it, this might be an epic place to camp. So we'll see.
As the terrain became more rutted out and off-camber, our sense of adventure really started to kick in. However, being alone and without a winch does mean we're traveling with a higher level of risk than we'd probably recommend for others. That and the fact that it's very hard to turn the Jeep and the trailer around on these tight trails means that if we get into trouble, it could be a disaster. As we rounded the bend about halfway down the trail, we got our first taste of defeat.
That, I think, is going to be the end of where we're going. I don't know that I can pull that out. I don't have chains and stuff with me, and I don't think I have the kinds of straps I'd need to do that. So, and I don't have a chainsaw either. So I think I don't really want to try going over that, just because it's kind of gross, and I don't know how deep it is on the other side, and I don't want to get turtled on that or anything. I don't have a winch. That's definitely on my to get list. I just don't have one yet. So I think we're gonna have to call this, but I got to figure out how to turn this thing around now, because this is the hard part with the trailer, is that on a tight trail like this, you got to figure out how to turn around a trailer. So kind of a bummer, but that's what exploring is all about, right? So after a little Austin Powers maneuvering, doing like a 45,000 point turn, we got the trailer and the Jeep turned around, so we're gonna head back out of this trail. Definitely a trail I want to come down again with the right equipment and with a buddy. Not worth doing this alone, risking any of that. So if you're by yourself, don't take unnecessary risks. That was an unnecessary risk. We weren't going to take it. So anyway, we're going to get back onto the regular section of the Scar after going up this trail, which will be a lot of fun. And then we'll find somewhere else to explore.
Again, most of this section was blacktop, though we did find a few campsites right off the road. Nothing that really interested us, but it was good to know that they were there.
So as we were looking at the map, we saw that there was an offshoot. It was basically a dirt and gravel road, nothing fancy, just easy to get down. But at the end of it, there was a trailhead for a hiking trail that went to Secret Falls, and we decided we had time and it wasn't a terribly long hike, so we parked and we're going to hike down to Secret Falls and see if we can discover Secret Falls' secret. I don't know what that would be. That was a bad joke, sorry. Sorry you had to endure that. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm wearing long black pants, it's because these are my Terran design pants. They're very lightweight. They are awesome for hiking in. And not only that, they have anti-bug stuff, so they help keep like ticks and mosquitoes and stuff like that off of you. But they're super comfortable. I've been wearing them like every day. So yeah, I'm really happy with these. And there's a link down in the description if you're interested in going to their website and looking for stuff. But yeah, these pants have sort of become my everyday pants. This is a fun trail. I'm not wearing the right shoes. I've slipped like 3 times, kind of stubbed my toe. So wear the right shoes. I'm just wearing sneakers. But these sneakers, not good in the mud. I was not expecting a water crossing, but yeah, we're gonna have to figure out, we're gonna have to balance across this. Justice is volunteering to go first, and I'm gonna film her doing it. Hopefully she doesn't fall in. Woohoo, you made it! So now I gotta do this, and I'm gonna do it with a camera, which is probably not ideal.
No pressure, we're all watching.
I know.
I have an audience now. I gotta make this.
You got this! Come on, you got this!
All right, here we go. I made it! Okay! This is not what I was expecting. It's super cool though. Oh my gosh! This is awesome. So I guess the way we went was to the top of the falls. There's another way to get to the bottom. This I think might actually be cooler. So this trail was fun and worth it, but I'm clearly not in the shape I thought I was. It wasn't a very long trail, not an overly hard trail. I'm ready for a nap.
With no more luck on the trails or campsites, we followed the SCAR back into Georgia, where we decided to take the SCAR connector to the Trans-American Trail. And it wasn't long before we found a trail worth taking.
Whew, definitely had fun riding that trail. That's a cool road. Definitely fun. No one's been up that for a while. Had to move a bunch of sticks. Had to actually cut some branches down that were low-lying. A lot of stuff that was overgrown on this trail. I was really hoping for an epic campsite at the end, but alas, there's no campsite here, just a dead end. So we're gonna turn around, head back down. It'll be a lot of fun going down this thing, and go keep looking for a campsite.
We zigzagged around the area looking for campsites. We found several, but they weren't really remote or private, and most of them were already occupied because of the holiday weekend. Eventually we decided to move onto a loop I had in Gaia for Charlie's Creek, because I had campsites that were marked and I'd hoped they'd work out. Little did we know that we would never actually make it that far.
All right, guys, we are back at our original campsite. It took us a lot longer to get back than we expected. We were searching for campsites and looking, and we ended up coming across a hiker with a radio, and he flagged us down, and he was telling us that they had lost another hiker, and they were looking for her, and they couldn't find her. So we ended up actually letting him ride in the car with us. We looked around, we found, eventually we actually did find her. So happy ending of that story. It could have been really bad. She was miles and miles away from where she thought she was and where she should have been. So definitely something that we're very excited that we got to help and make sure that she's okay with, but took a lot of extra time. It started getting late, and because we were having a really hard time finding dispersed camping along that extra route of the Scar, we just decided that because it was going to get dark soon, we wanted to just come back here where we knew we had a spot. So that's what we did, but we had an awesome trip. Super excited about all the things. A lot of trails that we found I'm really excited about. Some other spots that I'm really excited about exploring, but we did not get to explore today. So definitely going to come back and do some more exploring there.
We had a great time, despite not finding as many great trails or campsites as I would have liked, because in the end, it was never about the destination. It was always about the journey. It was about spending time focused on someone you love, resetting, reconnecting, and reimagining what it means to explore. In the end, we heard the call and we answered it, and we answered it well. We simply went, and that act is often all the adventure you need.
If you guys haven't already watched my whole Scar series where we do this 1,000-mile loop around South Carolina and on dirt, gravel, mud, sand, all that kind of stuff, there's a link in the description for that playlist. I'll also link it here and at the end of the video so you guys can check that out. It's a super epic adventure, really fun. So I appreciate it, guys. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, I don't know why you're not subscribed. Go ahead and do that. It's not that complicated. Just a little click. Right now, click. I'm waiting. There you click. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, guys, leave comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. I hope that shot was worth that.